Yo, what is up, guys? This is, of course, your boy Bernie here, along with Pete and Brad.
Up, guys?
What it do?
And today we got a couple topics to talk about today, but today we're going to primarily focus on, of course, a topic that, inspired by Brad. I'll shout out to Brad because
Hey,
he talked about rotations on X or Twitter or Twix, whatever you want to call it. And it just kind of got me going and thinking about, as Brad was talking about that on Twitter, what team really does have the worst rotation in the NBA? So before we talk about that and so much more, please remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Again, all this stuff helps out the channel tremendously. It lets people know that you're interested in the channel, lets people know that you mess with us and that we are creating a community of basketball knowledge, letting you guys talk, letting you guys in the comment section. So I'm excited to hear what you guys have to think in the comment section after this topic. But nevertheless, let's get started by going to the live scene here and talking about player minutes. And so, we put up RotoWire just to kind of show you guys the minutes that some of these players are playing in the NBA. Teams like the Hawks, with DeJounte Murray averaging about 36.7 minutes a game, where you go to a team like the Boston Celtics, which I'm showing you to the right here, who's about 32 minutes a game. So, I want to throw this over to you, Brad, because I think you want to either shout out or call out a certain coach. And so I'll leave the floor to you in terms of rotations.
yeah, I mean, my tweet was inspired really. It was just me going on a rant, and it all stems from fantasy basketball because I have Benedict Mathurin on my team. So seeing the way that Rick Carlisle is doing, whatever, Jim Carrey knockoff, is doing my boy Benedict, it really frustrates me because, like, first off, he doesn't really have a good history with first round picks. Like, he's done Isaiah Jackson dirty. He did Chris Duarte dirty. He did he's doing Mathurin dirty, and now he's doing
Countless
Jarris Walker
Dallas
dirty.
Mavericks prospects, yeah.
Yeah, like he has whatever type of vendetta it is he has against rookies and first round picks. It's disgusting, and like somebody needs to step in. like last night, Benedict Mathurin he only played 24 minutes and he starts. But Buddy Hield and Aaron Naismith played 26 and 25 respectively. So like, what's the point of even starting Benedict if he's not going to play games? He also didn't finish the game. Carlisle chose to finish with Naismith and Buddy Hield. And so like, I just don't see the point in starting him if you're not going to give him the minutes that he deserves and the minutes that he needs to develop as a rookie. Like I think he was the sixth pick, if I'm correct. Someone could fact check me later, but like, top 10 pick, lottery pick, needs those minutes. He needs everybody else in his class is getting those reps. So like that is my frustration with Rick Carlisle's rotations. I feel like he plays too many people and nobody can get going. And I understand you're on a young team and rebuilding, but like, at least give the lottery pick his minutes. That's all I got to say on that.
Yeah, he was the sixth overall pick. Yes.
That's insane.
Bernie, I'll let you go next. I'm interested to hear what you got to say.
I kind of, again, this kind of boils down to them just being absolutely dominant. It seems like they will continue to be forever. Malone, I think he's doing a great job with the Denver Nuggets. Again, we talked a little bit about it in the, whatever, if you want to call it pre-production commentary or whatever we were just doing like 10 minutes ago. But I really do think the Denver Nuggets do a really good job of rotating their guys and not really overloading their guys with a lot of minutes. Guys like Jokic, guys like Jamal Murray are not playing a ton of minutes. I know that Jamal Murray in the last couple of games, not last night, I think he only played like 9, so he was hurt. But the previous nights where he had 39, 32, 37, like they do a pretty good job of making sure that these guys aren't overloaded. And I think this is, for lack of a better term, I think they do a pretty good job of load managing throughout the game. And, I think that that's kind of one of their big, to me, what feels like a big X factor for them when I watch them play, when I see their box scores, whenever I catch a Nuggets game. I just feel like they do a really good job of steadying the ship and not overloading these guys with a ton of minutes, which means that they're going to be healthy. They're going to be ready for the playoffs. And so, I think the Denver Nuggets do a really good job of, and also, playing some guys that, normally probably wouldn't play. Like, for example, a guy like Peyton Watson is now starting to get increased in minutes. A guy like Strawford, who I try to get from you, Brad, but I can't in fantasy. I think he can also do a pretty good job as well. He played 9 minutes in last night's game. So I think they do a pretty good job of steadying the ship there. So, I kind of want to shout out the Denver Nuggets and their rotations.
So I'll point out a guy that I feel like just constantly gets overlooked, and that's Mark Dagnall of the Oklahoma City Thunder. I feel like he is constantly putting out great rotations, just always putting his team in a great spot. And part of it, it's as simple as this. He has a lot of options. He's got a lot of versatility on that roster, a lot of people he can put in specific spots. But
Mm-hmm.
I think just in particular, like the way he gets the lineups he sets out there for just defensive purposes. I mean, there's not many rotations that they can even send out that have like a lot of bad defenders in them. I
Mm-hmm.
think of teams like Atlanta, right? Like they have a fair number of guys I would consider probably maybe average or below average, and it seems like they're always on the court together. The Chicago Bulls, these teams, like I don't understand how these lineups keep manifesting their way onto the court, but there's something about OKC and Mark Dagnall in particular, and I feel like I don't have anything too complicated to say. He has just a lot of like I said, versatility on his team, but he actually takes advantage of it, and he's not so locked into. Like we're in this positionless league. We've been in this league for how long now? A few years, five years, I would say, probably maybe 5 to 7 years of positionless basketball, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like he's one of the very few coaches that really takes advantage of that. Puts guys out in all these wacky spots. Like
Mhm.
I'd like to see a lot more Jalen Williams playing like point guard this season. Like there's just so much stuff going on that's interesting with OKC, and I feel like that comes down to just good creative lineups, not getting stagnant. So yeah, shouts out to Mark Dagnall. I love that OKC team though, so I'm biased.
Yeah, I mean, it is. They're definitely a really good team. We watched
Warriors the
them.
other night.
He
Yeah.
was, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the kind of creativity that like makes a real difference in the NBA. Like being
Hmm.
able to like put your guys in positions where like they're actually learning how to do different things on the court. They're not just this guy. This isn't. I think that that's something that's so easy. Like Rick Carlisle is a prime example of that, Brad. Like he is the definition of stagnant. I mean, you can look and
So
see
true.
like Tom Thibodeau they might as well be the same guy. That's why I fused their names. Tom Thibodeau in New York, my guy. I mean, so uncreative, so locked into
Yeah.
traditional lineups. There's a reason why Julius Randle is like, I think he's at like 36 minutes a game, and he has the worst field goal percentage ever through 5 games. Like,
Oh my
it,
goodness.
Yeah.
have you guys seen that?
Yeah.
He's on
It's
my
That,
sickening.
dynasty team. Yeah.
that was the
It's
next.
actually sickening.
That was the next team I was going
But
to talk about.
well, let's go to him, Bernie. I'll let you start it off.
Yeah, I mean, you pointed out the stats. We've been looking at it. I mean, there seems to be some sort of turmoil in New York right now. Mitchell Robinson and his trainer. I sent you guys that photo last night of I think his trainer just calling out the team for not rewarding the big man. Essentially, is what it came down to from what I saw from the
Pretty much.
Instagram story. Um, this team started out pretty hot. Like when I watched them play against us in the first game, Pete, like I thought they were pretty good. I thought again it was like, okay, this team's going to be another fourth, fifth seed again, and let's see where it goes from
Yeah.
there. But it seems like they've digressed a little bit. I mean, you're more of a New York Knicks fan than I am. What are you seeing out there that's kind of worrying you or giving you cause for pause?
Well, honestly, they look pretty good. Like they look about the same as they did last season. It's literally just Randall. I mean, Randall is a zero. Like I mean, it's not even a zero. It's a negative on the team in so many ways. But even then, it comes down to what the limitation with this team always is, and it's the coaching.
Mm-hmm.
There is no continuity on offense at any point in time. We
Yeah.
get these little stretches where, like one person that's been like a revelation for this team is Dante DiVincenzo. He's been incredible as a New York Knicks role player. He's been really, really great on both sides of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that Tibbs coaches, I mean, like if you look at his rotations, I don't know if you have the RotoWire minutes pulled up for the Knicks.
I will have them up.
They
in
have
a second.
they have a
Yep, there you
fairly
go.
deep rotation, all things considered, but it's there's no real planning in terms of like who's going to be doing what in what stretch of minutes, right? And I think
Mm-hmm.
RJ not being there is really like like the secret killer of this team, because people are still assuming I think this is the RJ of the last few years, but honestly he's been the best player on the Knicks so far this season consistently.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it comes down to just the lack of creativity in those lineups, and really, and this is kind of the problem with comparing a team like the Knicks to OKC, right? Like the versatility that Tibbs even has to put some of these rotations together is not like he doesn't have as much leeway. And I'm not even saying it as if he'd actually use it. He probably wouldn't even use it if he could, but we don't even really have a backup power forward at the moment. So there's a lot of issues with this team. But really, I don't think they're much worse than last season. It just comes down to Randall being terrible and Tibbs being Tibbs. It's that simple.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the thing that I was worried about when we did our preseason rankings, Pete, was Randall.
Yep.
Because, it's kind of one of those
Yep.
things where it's like, which Randall are you getting? Are you getting the Randall before the contract extension, or are you getting the Randall that's kind of been a little bit up and down in terms of consistency? And like you said, for the guy that's playing the second most amount of minutes, for a guy that's supposed to be your starting, forward, he's just not getting the job done for you guys. And if I'm a Knicks fan, I'm probably frustrated with that situation. One player that I'm curious about, Pete, and I just wanted to see what your opinion was of him. And I know that people are going to be like, who? But, a guy like Miles McBride, like, where is he? Like, I know Dante DiVincenzo's getting the minutes. I know quickly, there's still concerns about whether he's staying or going just because of the contract extension. I know Quentin Grimes is kind of stepping up into that like backup role.
Yeah.
But, does a guy like Miles McBride, does he have a shot? And, this might be my bias because I watched him in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think he does. His biggest problem is that his skill set is kind of not what the Knicks need right now. Like he just is not. He's not that much of a threat on offense. His shot isn't consistent enough to really like, draw any eyes to him on the court. So he basically just kind of gets left alone and rims out a jumper here and there. But I do think he's kind of like the. I think he's the quickly fallback plan. Like if we have to send Quickly out for whatever reason, Emmanuel Quickly, I think he's kind of like we're going to figure out how to slot him in. Do I think that's going to be a seamless transition? Absolutely not. He's kind of not the same guy in any way. But I do think that might be the plan. I do like Deuce. It's just, I mean, he's one of the very few guys in the NBA that's like, I shouldn't say that. He is a guy in the NBA that I think is a good example of I'm going to do a pre-pause here. I think size does matter a little bit. Like he's really small. He's really small. And it looks like it when he's on the court. He can't get around guys like somebody like Maxey, for example, right? Like he just doesn't have the burst that somebody like Maxey does. So his height really, really kills him.
How tall is he? Is he like 6'2"? 6'1"?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what he's labeled as. I think he's a 6'1", but he's really got to be 5'10", 5'11". I think I'm probably taller than Miles McBride is.
Oh my gosh.
Small. But like he plays small too. Like he really is just a jump shooter, right? So if you can't hit your jump shots and you're small, so you're already getting stifled, like you're kind of he doesn't have a lot of leeway to really improve on offense, I don't think, which is that's kind of heartbreaking because I think Deuce is very solid in terms of backup guys.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's your quickly fallback plan, that's not too bad. Like you could do worse than Deuce. Yeah.
I that's kind of why I feel okay about possibly trading Quickly. Like we already have so many guards in the rotation as is. Like there's so many. And Deuce is really like kind of overqualified to be like a third guy off the bench, basically. He's definitely above average on defense. But yeah, I don't know, man. The Knicks just have a lot of stuff with not enough high-end talent. And this is kind of like the ultimate crux of what it means to be a successful NBA team. You can have 9, 10 solid players, but do you have the one guy that's actually going to elevate everybody over the top, right?
Right.
And unfortunately for the Knicks, like Brunson at his best, and this is not a diss at him, so I hope any of my Knicks fans out there don't take it this way, because Brunson is probably my favorite Knicks player since Carmelo. It's not even a question, right? But the problem with JB If he's playing the best version of his game, it really does not involve the other players on the team, right? Which I think is where a lot of the frustration from guys like Mitchell Robinson comes from.
Yeah.
JB is like a floor general kind of guy. It's kind of an illusion. He really doesn't play like a floor general. He's an ISO scorer
Yeah.
who kind of disguises himself as a floor general. He can play
Mhm.
both ways, but when he's playing his best version of basketball, it's purely isolation basketball.
Yeah.
And that with Randall is nightmare fuel to watch. Like it is not,
Mhm.
it's not okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I texted this to you guys too, but like, you know, you mentioned Mitchell Robinson complaining, his trainer complaining
Yeah.
about his touches,
I have
but
the
it's
tweet
like
up here so everyone can see it.
it's really tough for me to feel too bad when you don't have any touch on offense. What are you supposed to everybody knows that what you do on offense is catches lobs. That's you catch lobs. That is your skill set. And when that doesn't work, how are you going to blame everyone for not getting those looks? Like, I just don't even understand. You've been in the league for like 6 or 7 years at this point, and you still can only catch lobs. You can't be upset about not being involved on the offense. You just can't. It doesn't make any sense to my brain. So, am I being unfair in that situation, or what do you guys think? Like, he's treating it like he's playing with Chris Paul, but he's really playing with Jalen Brunson, and those are two very different guys.
Yeah, that's kind of just, you got to know your personnel. Like if like Kobe said, man, go get it off the glass. If you know your point guard is, trigger happy,
Yeah.
same with Randall, like put
Mhm.
yourself, and Mitchell's good at grabbing offensive rebounds. I want to say he's
Ex-
usually places like somewhere at
He's
the top of the
usually
league.
in the top. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure he led the league in offensive rebounds last season, and I'm pretty sure he's
Yeah.
leading the league in offensive rebounds right now.
Yeah. So his trainer
Which,
complaining about getting him the ball like he's,
yeah,
like he has some crazy Hakeem Olajuwon footwork down there is hilarious.
but it's like you're getting these offense. Yeah, he's number one in the NBA right now with six. What his offensive rebound percentage is 16.1. Okay, like this dude is getting that's number one by almost 2 full percentage points over Al Horford and
Oof.
Clint Capella. Okay,
Go Al.
if you're catching offensive rebounds, how can you even remotely complain that the other people on your team aren't giving you looks? Just go
Yeah.
up and score, man. What do
That's
you
that's
do?
just yeah. That's
It's
just a
it's
giant ego issue. Like you don't see
it
Clint
really
Capella's
is.
camp being like Clint doesn't get the ball. Like what do you want Clint to
Yeah.
do with the ball?
Yeah.
Like Clint can only
Yeah.
catch lobs. So come on
Yeah.
now.
And you also can't shoot free throws. Like they can't give you the ball in clutch moments. They can't do anything with you as
Mhm.
far as like run sets for you. And you play on a team with Tibbs as your coach, man. Do you think he's really there's no strategy on offense. There is none. There is literally not one. There's maybe 4 to 5 plays every game that actually have a designed play before the play is run. Like I'm not kidding. There's nothing on
Mhm.
offense. So
Yeah.
you're on the wrong team arguing the wrong thing. It's not it.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be very interesting conversation as we look forward to the New York Knicks, and to even tease, we're going to talk a little bit about some NBA. What teams we think record wise show. Uh, is it for real or is it fake? But with that being said, let us know in the comment section down below. What do you guys think of the rotations? Do you guys agree or disagree? Is Rick Carlisle a liar? Is he a terrible game manager, or
He's a
uh,
phony.
is he a fraud, as some people would say? But let
He's a
us know
good
the
coach, but he's tripping for real.
yeah, with the rotations, of course.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, that's gonna do it here for this topic on the charge. Please remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe, and we'll catch everybody on the next episode of the charge. Peace.